Or shot fire, officer down, shot fire, officer down. Got a city officer down, shot fire.
223, be advised, we have a visual on enemy paratroopers in grid Papa uniforms.
Welcome to the Resilient Warrior Nation, a podcast dedicated to inspiring hope and healing for first responders, military veterans, and anyone facing PTSD and trauma. Hey everybody, welcome to another podcast episode of the Resilient Warrior Nation. I'm your host, Mike Morgan. As usual, I am super pumped for my guest today. Prior to that though, let me just explain why I'm wearing this shirt, Unafraid. This is not a proclamation. This is the name of a company owned by a man named Eddie Penny. Eddie is a former Navy SEAL. And in the spring of 2023, I sat down to watch a podcast episode of the Sean Ryan Show, having no idea that Eddie was about to change the entire trajectory of my life. During the course of the episode, Eddie was recounting the story of the Extortion 17 incident, in which a Chinook was shot down in Afghanistan by insurgents, killing all 38 aboard. This included 17 SEALs. It was the largest loss of community in one event ever. Included in the dead was Jason Workman, Eddie's best friend. And as Eddie told the story of first escorting Jason's body back to his hometown in Utah and then to his final resting place in Arlington National Cemetery, he was crying. He was very upset, rightly so. I simultaneously began thinking about a call that I had 5 years before, which I buried deeply. I'm a 30-year medically retired police officer, and that call consisted of a 2-year-old that was found floating in a pool, beautiful girl named Dana Sikorsky. As I thought of that story, and as I watched Eddie, began crying uncontrollably, no other way to say it. Prior to that, I had been experiencing feelings of depression, anger, rage for just about a year up to this point, following my retirement from the police department. I was not sure of the origination of the feelings. I'm a pretty self-aware guy. I knew I wasn't myself. I would go into these negative cycles every day and really couldn't figure out why. Soon after this episode, as I watched Eddie and I was crying, I put two and two together and realized that I'd suffered some sort of PTSD during my career. I mistakenly believed that PTSD was only caused by seeing your brother or sister next to you get killed. Mine was caused by being inside the most devastatingly intimate moments of other people's lives over and over and over for 30 years. So I knew I needed help. Wasn't sure how I was going to go about it, but I knew I did not want to be this ornery guy that hated everyone and everything for the remainder of my years. It was not going to happen. So I didn't think traditional therapy was going to do it for me. I didn't think speaking to a man or woman sitting behind a desk, telling them the things I've done and seen, that they were going to be able to help me in any way, shape, or form, to be frank. So I had seen on Sean's and other podcasts, guys, mostly special force operators, talking about coming back from war, self-professed broken men, and their consequent healing journey with psychedelics. So I really began doing research and kind of felt ayahuasca calling me. And I went with my wife to a facility in Orlando, Florida last year, and journeyed with ayahuasca. It was a 3-ceremony weekend over the weekend, but for all intents and purposes, after the first ceremony, my life was literally changed forever. I had 2 co-workers and friends from my Suffolk County PD job, which I had retired from, that had committed suicide 3 weeks prior. They were a week apart. Sergeant actually killed himself in the precinct locker room. And I never had any intention of being in the space I'm in now, but as clearly as Anthony and I are talking, my guest to be introduced here in a second, the universe told me that I was healed from my PTSD, and my life's pursuit was to go forth and help other first responders or vets heal theirs. I literally said okay out loud, had no idea how I was going to implement that. But one thing I decided to do was start a podcast, just like Sean's, to do for others what Sean's has done for me. And in that, I bring on ordinary people who've done extraordinary things with their lives. We talk about the highest of highs, lowest of lows, how they've healed. And my intention is to get men and women who are still going through it to get hope, be inspired, realize that they're no different than myself or my guests, and that they can live a happy life. So I'm, again, very excited to introduce my next guest. He is Anthony Autrey. Anthony's a transformation coach, entrepreneur, speaker, and the founder of the Unchained coaching program, a system built on discipline, structure, faith, and personal responsibility. His journey began in a chaos of addiction, violence, and federal incarceration, a path that took him from being a fugitive on the LAPD Pacific Division's most wanted list to serving 60 months in federal prison. It was behind, that's 5 years for those of you who are bad at math. It was behind those walls that Anthony rebuilt himself through faith, accountability, fitness, and the daily disciplines that would ultimately become the blueprint he now teaches. Since his release, Anthony has completely transformed his life. He terminated federal probation early, launched a successful coaching business, married his wife Priscilla, and built a mission-driven brand that helps men break destructive patterns and step into disciplined, purpose-driven lives. He speaks openly about forgiveness, personal ownership, and the spiritual awakening that redirected his life, and he now mentors men across the country, including first responders, veterans, business owners, and those battling addiction. Today, Anthony leads a growing team, runs weekly leadership and mindset calls, coaches clients through fitness and nutrition, and helps other men build their own coaching platforms. His message is simple. Discipline is freedom, faith is power, and any man can rewrite his story with the right system and mindset. Anthony is currently developing his book, Unchained, From Chaos to Calling, and expanding his impact through speaking, content, and live events. Anthony, unbelievable bio. It is great to have you on here, brother.
Thank you, man. It's a pleasure. It's an honor, man, and a privilege. It truly is. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Same, right back at you. So that is some story just reading your bio, brother. And we spoke on the phone last week. I was blown away on kind of where you started and where you've ended up. It is obviously the first portion is going to be a little bit of a cautionary tale, but there's no ending. Obviously, we're still current day, and what you're building is a testament to your principles. Forgiveness, forging ahead, resiliency, personal responsibility, numero uno, and it should always be like that. Frankly, it's always going to be like that. And kudos to you for literally turning your life around.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. It took me a while to figure it out, but better late than never. Yeah, man, and change is possible at any age,
Absolutely.
as we both are a testament to, so, but you got to take action, man. Got to take action. You got to take accountability. Like you said, numero uno always has been and always will be is taking full ownership, and taking action,
Exactly.
So.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So listen, man,
Cool.
We'll dive into it. We'll start in your youth,
Cool, brother.
and see where you started from. Get to know you a little bit. Where'd you grow up? How was childhood?
Absolutely. So childhood grew up in the Pacific Palisades. Most people know that today now from the fires that took place, not too long ago.
Would your house have been involved had you still lived there?
It was the house that I grew up in, I believe, burned down. So I was talking to a couple buddies that were in charge of that were in there, during after the fires had occurred. They're doing some disaster response stuff, and that street, it was a very small street that the house was on. That street was blocked off, and so I assume that the house did burn down. High school I went to, half of it burned down. Other family members, my cousin, his grandmother's house burned down. They pulled her out. She didn't want to leave, and but they made her leave, and unfortunately a couple days after, just due to stress and everything, she passed away. Another one of their family members, their mother's place burned down. So a lot of losses there. A lot of guys that I grew up with, family members and stuff like that. So yeah, it's like upper class, middle. We were middle class, upper middle class. Typical upbringing, early years. Playing a lot of sports. We'd go on family trips. Go snow skiing, go to the river, go water skiing.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah. So had a younger brother born at 3.5 years younger. So at 3.5, had a little brother come bump me off the boob. You know what I mean? And had to learn to start sharing. So some of the first memories I have are like me kind of like strangling the kid. You know what I mean?
Brotherly love, man.
Bro, I got toughen him up a little bit.
Exactly.
So,
and how about what did mom and dad do for a living?
So dad owned, typical Sicilian dude, owned a construction company.
I do get a cement company. Yeah.
And mom, she was at that point she was a homemaker. She was involved in the in like orthodontics. She was like an orthodontics assistant. Had been in that field since she graduated from college. She came out about at 21, came out to LA. Big, she was a real good looking lady, so she automatically found herself and her girlfriends. She back then she was going to the Playboy Mansion on like classier days. They'd go on like movie nights. Yeah, they'd go on movie nights, stuff. They'd have like dinner nights and stuff like that. And at this point in time, Hugh had asked her to be, they had the 25th anniversary coming up. So they had asked her to be the 25th anniversary centerfold. And she told him no.
Hugh was not used to that word, I'm sure.
I was like, really, Mom? I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, she's like, I figured I'd be having kids soon, and that's just not really the kind of image that I want to put out. She's from the South, Southern morals and values and everything. And I'm like, okay, I respect that.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's pretty gangster though, Mom. I don't think he's heard no that many times.
Yeah, probably count on a number of fingers how many times he's heard no.
Yeah, so they met, and my father had previous kids. He had his first kid at 17, second at 19, third at 21, and then unfortunately was divorced at like 26, 27. So he had done that. By the time my parents met, he was, I think, 30, and he's like 33, something like that. And so he had said, okay, we'll get married, but I want to wait 5 years before we have kids so we can, enjoy ourselves. And because, as you know, once kids come into play, it's forever different, So I think me and my wife are kind of, cherishing at this moment right now as we work on our first. So typical, playing sports, all that stuff. And just, it really was kind of shocking. Never saw my parents argue or fight or anything like that, as I think as it should be, Kids should never be a part of any of that. But unfortunately, Christmas Eve, typical 7-year-old jumping on my bed, waiting for the next morning so I go tear open a bunch of presents. And parents come into the bedroom and tell me to sit down, and they tell me,
Eve?
I guess.
Oh.
Yeah, man.
Oh, come on, man. Couldn't wait 2 days? Yeah, exactly. Today's episode is brought to you by Cutting Edge Testosterone Therapy, a veteran-owned, family-run clinic led by a retired first responder. At Cutting Edge, they help men and women rebuild strength, focus, and vitality through advanced hormone therapy, peptides, and performance-based weight management. Whether you've served your country, your community, or your family, Cutting Edge helps you get your edge back safely, professionally, and with people who understand what service takes out of you. Cutting Edge offers individualized care with no monthly fees or contracts. Learn more at cuttingedgetestosteronetherapy.com. Cutting Edge Testosterone Therapy, built by those who serve for those who still do.
I don't recall this part. I mean, I recall them telling me like, "Hey, we're gonna, I think we're gonna separate or something of this sort." I remember them delivering the message, but I don't recall. They actually told me that I laughed in their face. I started laughing.
Oh yeah,
and,
that was a joke.
Yeah, I guess so. And so
natural reaction.
Next thing. Yeah, right. And so next thing I know, I just remember going downstairs in the morning time, and Mom was already down there sitting by the tree. I can remember it like crystal clear, and she just kind of had her head in her hands, and I was like, man, okay. So I went up and was comforting her, and next thing I know, a few minutes later, my brother came running downstairs and grabbed onto my leg, and just kind of had like a realization at that point in time, like, okay, this is serious real quick, Yeah. And so, my father, due to, at that point in time, it was like the early 90s. There was a big like housing crash. There was a few houses that he had left that were on the market that the bank took over. He had like 60 employees. Didn't want to let any of his employees go because, he's putting, they're putting food on the table for their families. And so there were just some tough decisions that were needed to be made that weren't getting made. And so that just, I believe, had a lot of stress on the relationship. And, I can say today that I think that's probably the biggest thing that they would both do different today. So, but that happened, and so I started getting in trouble pretty quickly after that. I got in trouble at school, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you got this. His parents are going through a divorce. Give the kid a break." And I was like, "Oh really? Okay." I got my get out of jail free card, and so started getting in a lot of trouble, getting kicked out of schools. And then the drugs and alcohol started at 10 years old. Started smoking pot. I was smoking cigarettes before that, and then
Before 10?
but started. Yeah, a couple years before that, just sneaking them, every now and then. It wasn't like daily smoking, but by then at 10 at fifth grade, was smoking cigarettes daily and smoking pot pretty frequently, and drinking alcohol with my friends, the guys that were the cool kids that I wanted to be a part of, that I never really felt like I was a part of. I just, wouldn't have been doing that things on my own. I was just doing them because I wanted to be a part of these guys.
Right.
Which is, very foolish of myself.
And looking back now, just to basically dull the pain of what was going on, you think, with your parents' divorce?
Absolutely. Yeah, to dull the pain and find acceptance, to find like a group, something that I could be a part of, because I think things really, split at that point in time. There was a real, the break of the family nucleus is just...
tremendous.
We witness the destruction of our country over divorce these days. It's just so, and that's the family nucleus, man. I can go on about that. So it, getting in trouble, little brother getting in trouble too. We're both getting kicked out of school simultaneously the same year. They're like, you two kids aren't coming back. Went through the private schools, started the public schools. And then it was a whole different ball game, public schools. That started early. So I was getting kicked out of like third grade, fourth grade.
Oh.
Made it through fifth grade, was the first public school. Sixth grade, junior high, public school. Got caught with a sack of weed in class. My buddy, man, wanted to see it in class. And so I was like, wait till after class. Wanted to see it, so I slid it to him. And then he just blatantly gave it back to me, and the teacher was like, what is that? And I was like, man, I was like, it was a younger female, and so I was like, it's a note. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah, it says we think you're hot, whatever. And so she wanted to see it, and I was like, I can't do that. And so long story short, she tackles me, I get it to my buddy, she still didn't see it, and he's at the back door, and he could have ran. I was like, go toss it, and he comes back, she calls him back, he gives it to her, and so we end up getting walked down. The school officer, we had a school cop, came, put us in handcuffs, and walked us down in front of the school. Lunchtime was right. It was right before lunch, and so, just getting in trouble. Managed to make it through junior high without getting kicked out. But the drugs progressed. Went, to pharmaceuticals, abusing those. Got into psychedelics, a lot of different psychedelics. Heavy duty ones as well.
Yes, from the way I've been using them and the way you were using them, kind of two different things.
Yeah, two different things.
I had a little more intention when I sat down, and a little bit different.
Very much so. So I do understand. I do relate to. I do understand how there's a lot of things with addiction and stuff like that. How there is a big reset there with that. Today my faith really. Is a whole nother ball game. I know that I have power and authority in my faith, and that can break me from a lot of strongholds or things that may be dealing with that cause a lot of issues for a lot of people, and that stuff can be generational too, man. That's a whole nother conversation right there. I've really been studying a lot. I've gone to some spiritual warfare conferences recently, and I just got baptized recently, by the way. I just throw that in there.
Congratulations.
Yeah, brother. On Halloween.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, spitting in the devil's face, man. Take that, homeboy.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't like, I don't like the enemy taking anything and trying to use it for evil. Everything, in my opinion, was created by God and is meant for good. So, taking that back. And so progressed, got through junior high. Was starting to play some sports, played football, played baseball, did really well, made city all-stars for baseball. Whole time just a real functioning addict, moved into cocaine, stayed away from the meth and the heroin just because there was kids overdosing at an early age.
Okay.
From the heroin, fentanyl hadn't hit the scene yet.
Mom and Dad aware of how progressive this thing's getting now, this habit?
Not how progressive it had gotten. They knew that I was smoking pot because I got caught in school and stuff like that, but they were not really aware of all the other psychedelic use and the pharmaceuticals and and the cocaine use.
Right.
unfortunately. Dad was pretty straight. He never experimented with any drugs. He would drink some beer every now and then, and that was about it. And mom neither, didn't have it, So, high school was getting so typical. I was skateboarding a lot, did a lot of skateboarding, did pretty good in that as well. Excuse me. And then a few of my buddies during high school years, like middle school and then like early high school years, we started having our little cruise. And in Los Angeles, you're doing dumb stuff like tagging on buildings and stuff like that. And so it progressed though, getting into like the mid high school years, guys were old enough. They're, getting close to 17. They're starting. It was a public school, and it was like 70 or probably like 80% bussed in from all over LA County. So you had guys coming in from Compton, all over South Central, etc. And so a few of my buddies that I'd been going to school with for now a few years, who became some of my really close friends, lived in inner city LA. So one of my best friends lived in like close to like the Rampart district, and so this was like the mid '90s, and you probably were aware of that Rampart district scandal.
Oh yeah.
So those were the guys that were patrolling the neighborhood. Man, it was like a whole nother gang, bro. These guys were
no doubt it was a gang. Gang with
yeah,
badges.
it was a gang. Yeah, and a lot of them were gangsters from neighborhoods.
Unbelievable.
And so it got heavy, man. Guys were friends of mine, ended up being from neighborhoods, and in those days it was really active, so guys are killing dudes from other neighborhoods, and all sorts of stuff. I had one buddy of mine ended up getting on the FBI's most wanted list. He was on the Whitey Bulger. Yeah, he was wanted for like conspiracy on like 35 homicides.
Wait, Whitey Bulger is the guy you're talking about?
No.
Oh,
my friend was on the most wanted list with Whitey Bulger.
Okay. What'd your friend do? What was he wanted for?
They originally had him like conspiracy on 35 homicides. They ended up getting him, I think, for five, and then conspiracy on quite a few other counts. So it was California, so death penalty is not really, so he got like 5 life sentences and I think like 156 years on top of that or something like that. So, it was just,
no joke.
Oh, no joke at all. Buddies of mine were coming up missing, all sorts of horrible things that, I just care not to speak on. But
yeah, definitely.
So I just for a kid like myself, like that wasn't, it was getting really serious. And so I was like, man, this is not the life that I want to live. So I did actually graduate from high school, got my diploma. Shortly after, moved out of California, went to Arizona to go to college, but just did the geographical change, took my addiction with me, and just found myself doing the same things for the most part in Tucson. They're like U of A, big college party town, so found myself peddling small amounts of drugs to support my habit and my survival needs, and spun wheels for 2 years and wasn't going anywhere. Had a buddy then in Austin, Texas. He said, come out here. So I went out there, and again with the intention of going to school, but found myself started working for a sales company, and started doing pretty well in that. They brought me into management within a few weeks. Started running a section of the office, turned into the whole office, and brought it to one of the top earning offices in the nation.
Nice.
Was there for about 4 years, 4.5 years, and at that time I'd been gone from my family for a while. My brother had started a construction company in San Diego, and I was going to come back to LA to open an office for the sales company I worked for, but didn't work out. They ended up giving it to one of the executives, one of their cousins or something like that. They wanted me to go to Modesto, and I was like, Modesto's not a very attractive place to go, so I was like, I'm good. So came back to California finally, met up with my brother. We had been separated for a long time. My mother had relocated. We were very close, very close. Yeah, we were super close growing up. Kind of blew through it a little bit. Partners in crime. He was 3 years younger. Eventually in the high school years, early high school year, I think I was about a freshman. My mother got remarried, and they decided to move out of LA. So I stayed and went in with my father. My brother went with my mom to San Diego, and I was with my dad for a few years, and then I was out on my own at 17. So we hadn't been together since we were, early. I was an early teenager, and he was less than that.
Okay.
So he had started this construction company. He was about 21 at the time. So I came back to San Diego to link up with him and help him grow the construction company. We, of course, both had cocaine addictions at that point in time, and so we were partying a lot. But we're also doing pretty well financially. We're doing some commercial residential work. We ended up getting into LA. My father had gone back to work, was a super on a place in Bel Air, some investment, custom spec, developing all custom stuff. And so we started working on these homes in Bel Air, making great money. So we were partying, spending a lot of money every weekend, all the, going out of town, staying at the Hard Rock, getting the cabanas and bottle service and doing that wild party life. Yeah. So that continued for quite a few years. I first got in trouble then, 2008. Started dating a girlfriend I knew in high school, and she just turned out to be, a full-blown alcoholic and didn't have all her screws tightened. And so I just, being a young man, didn't saw the red flags, but I didn't act on it, and I stayed in the relationship. And one day she was just drunk, and neighbors had called the cops. She attacked me. I was raised by my mom, so I've never put a hand on a female. I was trying to keep her from I had like 8 hematoma bite marks all over me.
Damn.
Yeah, they were bad. I didn't know until long story short, they end up coming and they take me away, and then they're taking my shots, and they're like, "What is that?" And they start pulling my shirt aside, and I had all these big black and blue hematomas, swollen marks all over my body. Yeah,
and they still took you?
Yeah, in LA, it was, ever since the OJ trial, from up until that point in time, they were just, if there was a call, dude's going away, period. And so the women started really taking advantage of that, and it got really out of control. So nowadays it's kind of switched to where it's like, if there's a call, both parties go, because it was getting ridiculous. And because the same thing happened with me. I'd never been in trouble before. I started going to court. I get scared. They're talking about prison time, and I've never. Yeah.
She even have any injuries?
She had bruises on her wrist.
All right, but you have 8 bite marks, and you're the primary aggressor. Come on.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? And so she's telling her story. There's holes in her story, and I had a public defender at first, and he was actually pretty good.
Was he?
But I didn't. Yeah, he was good. I know today he was good, but I ended up dropping him, getting a private attorney come on. And so once I brought the private attorney on, we started having a little action. They were dropping a couple of things. And then on my pre-trial date, the last day I'd have a deal before we start, jury selection. My attorney gets called into another case, and so I have a substitute. And literally, I'm in the courtroom, and I see the DA take one folder off the table and put another one back on the table. And I'm like, what is that? And so it was basically their old deal. And I guess I had a new deal, but they put the old deal back on the table, and it was like, I either take this felony charge or risk going to trial and losing. And so I should have taken it to trial, because I would have beat the case, because number one, I was innocent, you know what I mean? And I don't have any priors. I didn't have any kind of record, but I got scared into taking a plea deal. Like 99.8% of everybody in LA County takes a deal. All the courts in LA County have upper 90 percentile conviction rate, because everybody takes a deal. So I took a deal, and that was one of the biggest mistakes I made. Made me a felon at that point in time. Did some time, got out, was completing probation, and then at 30 years old, had made another one of the best decisions I made in life. I decided to try smoking methamphetamine. Guys that I was hanging out with, some guys around my one of my neighbors actually, was hanging out with him. Went over to one of his buddy's house, and tried that, and I was like, wow. I was like, this is like cocaine on a whole nother level, and it's way cheaper, and it just
Instantly hooked.
Instantly hooked, man. Within a few months, I was still going to work, but they were like, oh, they knew I had a problem. They were like, you need to go to rehab or you don't have a job. And I was like, well, I've never missed work. I was never late. Like, I guess I don't have a job. So there went the job. Next thing you know, I didn't have a place to stay, and was just committing petty crime around the city to support my nonsense.
Yeah.
Before you know it, man, it was like, that's when they came, actually right before I lost the home, they came knocking on the door, got in a foot pursuit, took them through the apartment. I was in my boxers, went jumping off the balcony, running down the street, broad daylight, and just my boxers and no shoes,
Jackson,
had my phone in my hand. Oh yeah, just, and found out at that point in time they had flyers up in all the patrol cars of me and another buddy. And so just this cycle started at that point in time, just cycle of madness, being on the run, get caught, go in, they'd give me a program, I'd get out to a program, something would happen at the program, then I'd be back on the run again, and just this vicious cycle. So that continued for a few years. Finally, they maxed me out one day. The judge was like, oh, you're back so soon. I told you I'd give you your joint suspension. So gave me my max term. That was January 2014, April 2014, just a few months later. I get notified on a Sunday. I was in LA County Jail to go outside, to go contact home. And so didn't know what that meant at that point in time, but quickly found out, called my dad, and he said my brother was dead. Turned out a guy was a supervisor for us. They got into it, some just ego, man. Just at the end of the day, ego between a couple of dudes, pride, and he knew where my brother lived. The dude just pulled up one day, pulled out a weapon, pulled out a pistol, let off a couple barrages of bullets, took a couple, and that was that. Thank you, man. It was a whole bunch of, I got approved to go to the funeral, then denied, and approved and denied, and it was a whole big roller coaster. There's really a lot to it, man. The last time I saw him, there was kind of like a big pull, like I didn't want to leave because I didn't know what was going on. This was in January before I got caught, but I knew I needed to leave, so I was like, all right, bro, I love you, I'll see you later. And I just felt this pull, like not to leave, but I ended up leaving. Turned out to be the last time I saw him. And then the day before I found out, the day when he was dying, literally bleeding out, I was overcome with this real rage, man. I was mad. I'd gotten control of my anger when I was in my early 20s, but I had this rage, like I wanted to hurt somebody, and I didn't know why. Like nothing was going on. I'm like, why am I so angry? But it turns out it was at that point in time that he was bleeding out. So just some real interesting things. And got out about a year and a half after that. Came down to San Diego to be close to my mom. She, after what had happened. And so I was in San Diego, and just life happens. There was work. I had a job set up. The work didn't work out. And so then I didn't have a job, and I had a car and an apartment. And so I resorted back to old habits, got high, and started selling drugs again. And so didn't take long for San Diego to kind of turn into a movie scene like I did in LA. There was a lot of high-speed pursuits, foot pursuits, helicopters involved, a lot of stories, man. I could, so basically San Diego movie scene in October 5th, 2018, which is actually my sobriety date, my clean date. Was in a stolen car, get into downtown San Diego, and there's I hear not a siren, I hear like multiple sirens, and I look over, and there's a whole swarm of cars coming my way. Take them on a high-speed pursuit, get out, end up running, hopping fences, properties, and get under a crawl space, almost get away, but thankfully they one of them finds me, pulls me out. And it was at that point in time, it was October, like I mentioned, October 5th. And so I'm in San Diego jail. November comes, my brother's birthday was November 5th, remember the 5th of November. and the holidays were coming up, and just, started counting holidays, how many I'd been locked up for, and it was just, I was like three out of four, 4 out of 5. I was like, man, I don't want to count anymore. I was like, man, I'm freaking done, man. I'm absolutely done. And was going to a church service because I started getting into my faith when I was doing time. I talked to my father because he was always there for me, and he's like, start reading the New Testament, and I was like, all right. So I started. To me, it's just all about a relationship, and so I would spend a little bit of time every single morning when I would get up, when I was locked up, before anybody got up. I'd spend some time in my Bible, get my mind right, work on my relationship, and it just became a part of my routine that I would do. I developed a really structured routine doing time, and so I just conducted myself in a good manner. From doing all the time, I got to be a regular in a lot of these places, like LA County Jail, and so there was a lot of the time I'd end up finding myself being in positions of responsibility. I would end up being, everything's segregated there, everything's by race, and just because I knew how to follow program, it's simple. It's like, okay, these are our showers, those are our toilets, those are our phones, these are our tables, don't do this, do that. Certain protocols, I'd find myself just in positions of responsibility. And so ran a bunch of units, all that stuff. And
so were you like a trustee? Did they have a name for your position?
Not just like a shot caller,
Oh, so it wasn't through the prison, it was
I was on
the guys.
Inside.
I gotcha. So at this point, you kind of ganged up?
No, I'm just
really?
I'm just a wood, I'm just a regular white guy. I'm just a wood, a pecker wood, originally you call it, because you got woods and you got skinheads.
Yep.
And so they're political guys, and I'm just a regular wood, but I knew how to program, and so and I just ran a tight program. I'd be there for a while, and guys knew how I operated, because that's how you judge a lot of people. And it's I just conducted myself with a lot of respect. I treated others with respect. I'd be up early, my area's clean, I'm working out. All this just standard issue things. And so by default, a lot of the time they'd be like, all right, you're in charge. I'd be like,
really?
Okay.
So out of curiosity, now who's telling you're in charge? The heads of these gangs are kind of telling you that
it would depend. It would depend where I was, in a lot of, in places that weren't because I started in higher security places. And so in the higher security places, it has to be it'll kind of the guy who will have the keys, the guy who'll be the shot caller, will kind of have somebody in mind that he wants to fill his shoes because he's leaving, he's going upstate, or whatever's going on.
Yep.
And so then he'll then push that to the person that has the facility, and then the person in the facility will be like, okay, yeah, you have that unit now. And so that's how it works in higher security places. It's very, very structured, just like the military, just like the police department. You have, ladders. And
right.
So,
I'm just surprised an unaffiliated guy, so to speak, would have, would be the shot caller. I always thought it would be strictly, gang run. All the positions are filled by...
a lot of this was done in LA County time, and
okay.
So and so LA County, it's very structured like a prison, just politics and everything like that. But it's not if maybe say a guy came in that was part of one of the well-known gangs, then they would get the keys. You know what I mean? They have that coming to them.
Gotcha.
But for the most part, yeah, so it would happen. It happened quite frequently. It happened in LA County. It happened in Orange County, San Diego County. I did a lot of county time. I'm a county baby. A lot of my stuff was nonviolent, and so in California, you had AB 109, which was if your crime, it was like an overcrowding bill that passed. So if your crime was nonviolent, you're doing your time in the county jail. So you're doing prison times in the county jail, which was nuts, man. You had guys doing 20 years with halftime in the county jail.
Really?
Wow. Oh yeah.
For some monetary reasons, I wouldn't think they would allow that. They'd ship them off to a state prison.
The overcrowding was just such an issue.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And they didn't have anywhere to put the bodies.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it was that's really what I learned. Learned a lot of leadership skills, really.
That's what you say, showing
you know.
leadership qualities. You know, he must be charismatic, or these guys aren't going to be following anything you say. Super respectful because you're getting along with everyone. So, yeah,
Right.
it's great. Just an ability to socialize amongst everyone. And they obviously
Absolutely.
you're intelligent, or you wouldn't be fucking near that position to begin with.
Right. So, and it just, you know, and it goes both ways in there. You know, it's like if we're running a tight program on our side, you know, it's less work, keeps everything in order. It makes it easier for the correction side. And so they appreciate that too. And so it's like, it goes both ways. So it's like we keep things running good. They're like, okay, cool, man. You guys want to hear some music or something? And they would bring a little Bluetooth speaker, or they'd maybe turn the TVs on before they're supposed to come on. You know, so just little, you know, little things like that make things a lot more, you know, enjoyable and just a lot easier for all of us that are doing time, because correction dudes, they're doing time too, man.
Oh, yeah.
I got friends of mine today, some of my closest friends are all guys that were, you know, served in corrections, or they're LEOs, you know, or you know, are in the military, or all my friends today. And, it's the same thing. They're like, yeah, we're just doing time. Like a lot of times they have to sleep there because they're working overtime, and they got racks back in a place because they got to stay on site. So,
God bless those COs, man. I don't know how the fuck they do that job. I was in federal prison in Atlanta one time for like 10 minutes. It's actually Woody Harrelson's father, the actor, and two other guys tried breaking out one night, and I had to go in there to see what was going on. They called 911. I'm looking around like, how the fuck do you guys do this every day, man? There's no way.
Atlanta's bad. That's one of the worst spots.
Oh, yeah.
Has
Bro,
been
those
for a long-
guys almost got it. It was a granite wall, 40 feet high. The first guy was almost over the top when the watchtower guard saw it, threw a couple of shots, and the guy dropped down. But I'm talking to CO. I'm like, how the fuck did they scale this wall? He's like, officer, you don't even understand how ingenious these guys are. He's like, they take pool sticks and wrap them in toilet paper, or the toilet paper, like, I guess they wet it, they dry, you know, much better than me, dry it over and over and over. They said it's got the strength of a rope, and then they use the pool sticks in there, and I forgot how he told me they fashion like a grappling hook out of something. I'm like, that's fucking insane how smart some of these guys are, man. They can only use it for good.
Yeah. It's sad, man. You know, the things that I've seen, the ingenuity is just crazy, man. Guys making like all sorts of things out of just paper, man. Out of paper, guys making bouquets of flowers, like bouquets of roses and vases, and they would make a box, and you could put enough stamps on it, you send it home. And so I send one of those to my mom. It's like this nice vase with a bouquet of roses and everything, all just out of pieces of paper that were woven together and all that. So
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was nuts, man. And so I was San Diego, and the holidays were coming, and so I was going to a church service, and I just broke down, man. I just literally broke down. It was the first time I think I really broke down in my life.
Really?
You know, I was upset and sad when my brother passed. That was really, you know, parents getting split. That was huge, and then brother died. That was, you know, really huge. But then at this point in time, I like broke, man. Finally broke. I was about 36, and just didn't want to. I just, you know, was just messed up, man. Had gone. My cellie went to go get tested. He's like, man, I've been running amok. I need to go get tested. I'm like, yeah, I should probably go get tested too. So went, got tested, you know, for STDs or STIs, whatever they call them these days, and went. Didn't call him back, but they call me back, and they're like, all right, buddy, here you go. Here's your list of things, and I'm like, oh, great. You know, and just really just had screwed myself up. Just, you know, the place I put myself in and the harm that I had done my body, you know, just, you know, and then it was in church, and there was this dude in church, man, he was coming and speaking. He was a longshoreman from Seattle. So, you know, longshoremen, they didn't seen it all, done it all. But he came in there, and he was just convicted, bro. This guy was like bringing the wrath, man. And I was like, wow. And so went back to my cell, and I was just talking to God, man. I'm like, man, God, like, what's up, man? Like, and it wasn't audible, but like I heard him tell me, like, I have something better for you. And I was like, okay. I was like, all right, okay, I'm done. Like, I surrender. Like, you know, like, you win. You okay? And I was like, all right. And so was going to court, and it was the GTA, felony resisting, felony evading. It was like 4 or 5 felony charges on this one case. And so you're looking at state time, no doubt.
Yeah.
Going to court and on the bus on the way to court, talking to God. I'm like, what's up, God? And I'm like, tell me you're listening, bro. Give me something. And so we passed the church, and I'm like, okay, all right, got my attention.
Yep.
I'm hard-headed, God. Like, you gotta smack me again.
Yeah.
And then right then we passed a second church, and the second church we passed had a crow on the cross. And I know to me, like, my brother passed, he had seen some things in crows. His buddy had passed, and he always saw crows by him. When my brother passed, there's always crows by my mom's house. My brother has a daughter. She found a crow's feather on her car one day after my brother passed. So there's a real something there. And and so the second one we passed had a crow on there, and I'm like, all right, like, okay, what's up, man? Like, I was like, I'm in it. Like, I'm in it. I was like, if you can get me out of this, God, get me out of this, give me a program or something. Like, I'm all in. Like, I go to war. So we go to court, and the judge is literally like, he's like, you know what? He's like, I feel like I want to give this guy a chance. Like, I maybe offer you a program. How would you feel about taking a program? And I'm like what? Really? Damn. You guys, program was not on the table. It's all state time. It's all this crap, like a low, medium, high term. And he's like, how would you feel about taking a program? And I'm like, absolutely. Yes, sir. 100%. You will not see me back here. He was like, okay. I was like, all right, let's go. And I just.
It's your third sign.
Man, I knew God was blessing me, man.
Yeah.
And big time. So I went to the program and started crushing it, man. I've been through programs before, and
what does that entail when you say program?
I'm sorry. So a residential drug program. It's like an inpatient program. Like in society, but it's a residential program. You live there. You got to go to classes, etc. 90-day residential. Then it goes to outpatient, and so. I'd been to drug programs before, and I got kicked out of them, but I'm always paying attention. You know what I mean? Yep. My father taught me, I'm always. So I saw how people were successful in programs, and I was like, okay, so I knew what needed to happen. You have to submerge yourself in the environment. Regardless, if you're going to make change, you have to change your people, places, and things, number one. And then the new people and places and things, you need to submerge yourself in that healthy environment. You got to submerge yourself. So I got involved, man. I started taking commitments. Like they would call the houses and ask for volunteers. I'm volunteering to help out, going and doing landscape on the houses. I'm going and helping at estate sale things that they had going on, just helping out. Yep. Pretty soon it was like they just call the house and they're like, "Yo, what's up, Anthony?" I'm like, "All right, let's go." And so next thing you know, I'm riding around everywhere with the program director, fast tracking to be a house manager, and got like less than 30 days to graduate the program. And it's a Wednesday, and some lady comes into the house, and she's like, "Hey, you got some visitors." And I'm all excited. I'm like, "Cool." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, it's Wednesday. There's no visitors on Wednesday." Right. So I stand up and I look out the window and I see a bunch of black vehicles, and I'm like, "Uh-oh." I sit back down. Some dude comes in with a badge on his neck, and he's like, "You Anthony Autrey?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm a U.S. Marshal. I have a federal warrant for you." I was like, "Oh man!" I was like, "What does that mean?" He's like, "It means you got to come with us." I was like, oh. "Can I call my attorney?" He's like, "Yeah." When we get in the van, I'm like, "Man, call my attorney."
Sure, I've changed my life around. There's no need for this. Thank you.
No, right? I had about 9 months clean, on the straight and narrow, repairing relationships with family. Loved ones, been going to the gym every day, man. I'm looking right. But to me, I know everything. At the end of the day, it's pretty obvious. You can tell in the world today, there's no left, there's no right, there's no this or that. It's good versus evil, man, at the end of the day, in my opinion. And so I just knew that I'd been playing for the bad guys for a long time, and I'm no longer playing for them anymore. And so I just knew that the enemy was just trying to get me off track, throw a little wrench in my get up. Yep. And so, but I just took responsibility, took accountability. Yep, something I did. I got to pay the consequences. And so, I knew that it was something I'd done like in my past, a few years prior. It was a distribution charge that they got me for, just over their mandatory minimum. Damn. And Yeah. So, but I knew how to program. I knew how to program or do routine, like in prison, like they call that programming. Like I knew how to program. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go do this time. I'm really gonna work on myself. I'm gonna focus on my personal development. I'm gonna educate myself. I'm gonna, get in good shape. All that. I'm not gonna waste any time. So it's what I did.
How
Went
long
in
was your
there.
sentence?
So 2 ounces of meth, just over their 50-gram minimum for meth.
Yep.
And so I got 77 months for 2 ounces of dope.
Damn.
2 ounces.
6.5.
These days, you get a ticket these days for 2 ounces of dope. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So go in there, doing that time, and just start crushing myself, man. Like reading, like I always read nonfiction books. I'm always reading stuff to where like it's something I'm gonna take something from it. It's not for entertainment purposes. It's for educational purposes. So I'm just crushing books, man. Like this COVID started at that point in time, and so we were like slammed down, like Geneva Convention rules. Like they were only letting us out of our cell every 72 hours for 15 minutes to go get a shower and a quick phone call between like 2 or 3 guys. So you'd literally have 5-minute shower, couple-minute phone call, and then you got to get back to your cell.
Yep.
So that went on for like 8 months. It was like cold sack lunches for up till 3 days, and then on the third day they had to give you one hot meal because that's Geneva, human rights. You got to have a hot meal and a shower every 72 hours.
Okay.
And so just during those like 7-8 months, I like kept track of how many books I read. I crushed like 70 something like personal development books, all sorts of stuff.
Nice.
So continued on. I ended up getting a degree through college correspondence courses, business management degree. Started tracking my macros while I was in there, man. Like just wanted to take my health to the next level. I wanted to see my abs. Never seen my abs in my life, and I was like, I got time to figure it out. So got the math equations, and started tracking it all longhand with a pen and paper, tracking all my food, and sure enough, crushed it, man. Got under 10% body fat, started seeing my abs.
Nice.
Just it's when I came across a bunch of Jocko's stuff. I was reading for business, business leadership stuff, and just really poured into it, man. His just philosophy on discipline really resonated with me, and just the path, being on the path, you know what I mean? No excuses, like get up early, work out, like just take care of business. So it really resonated. I just was like cranking on that, dude. I'm like reading his books I ended up being a mentor. At the end of my sentence, I was in RDAP, which is Residential Drug Abuse Program. And so I ended up being a mentor in that program. It's on the regular yard. It's not any kind of special kind of housing or anything like that. Regular program. And so I'm reading that book in the morning time. We'd have like some classes and stuff like that. So I end up getting out, go to the halfway house. Things are going pretty good. I get home confinement pretty quickly, and things are just moving right along. Progressing quickly. We'll say though, like there's a lot of similarities with guys that have served in the military or guys that are even in law enforcement. There's kind of like this whole like identity thing can be an issue, guys like losing, or changing everything, like identity or purpose kind of issues. Huge. Guys struggle with losing their community, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of parallels with guys that have done time and other guys. And so, coming back, transitioning back to society after being away, and institutionalized or whatever, there's a lot of, challenges, just reacclimating to society. So dealing with that, pushing through that, but just doing really well, progressing, got a job immediately, and so I was up early, man. I was up at like 2:30 to go to the gym. I was working for the Iron Workers Union, so I was on the yard at like 6:30, wrenching on iron all day long. Then I was going to jiu-jitsu, and then going home, sleeping, and repeating the project. And so it was I got introduced to Victory MMA here in San Diego, and I knew one of my older half brothers took me over there. He's friends with one of the owners. They grew up together, so they introduced me there, and I was like, "Oh, this is Jocko's gym." I'm like, "Okay, man."
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Funny. I'm listening to him on the Sean Ryan show right now over the past couple of days. Did a 6-hour podcast.
I just finished it.
Did you?
Couple. Yeah. Good story.
Yeah,
a lot of
really
good
is.
stuff. Yeah. So read all his books and everything, and I'm in Victory, and one of the guys who's a lead instructor there, Dean Lister. He's notorious. He's well known
I know
judo
myself.
jiu-jitsu guy.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I know Dean from a few years from back in the day in San Diego, just in the San Diego scene, and I seen Dean there, and he was like, "Yo," he's like, "Where you been at?" And I'm like, "Ah, man." And
At least you don't ever want to be.
yeah. And so he didn't know about my brother. I told him about my brother passing, because that's how I met Dean, was through my brother.
Okay.
And then we're sitting there talking, and Jocko comes walking up, because Dean and Jocko are close friends. They've both been with at Victory for long, over 10 years. And so Jocko comes walking up, and I'm like, I was like, "Excuse me, sir." I was like, "I gotta let you know something, man." I was like, "I just got out of federal." I had my ankle monitor on. I'm like, "I just got out of federal prison." Yeah, I was like, "As you can see," I was like, and I was in federal prison. I was like, "We've been reading your stuff, man, and it's really resonated with me. It's helped me just be on the path that I'm on." And I was reading "Discipline Equals Freedom" to a unit full of guys in federal prison. He's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yes, sir." And he's like, "Man, that's badass." I was like, "Yes, sir."
Absolutely.
And,
real world applications for his stuff.
Man, right? Not just in the business field, but
Yep.
it works. It works on other guys.
Yeah,
So
changing men's lives.
100%, man. So just things are going good. Terminate the house arrest. Get that out of the way. Doing some jiu-jitsu competitions. Won those.
Nice.
Everything's going really good. At that point in time, a buddy of mine, I'm working for a family that has some restaurants, so I'm working at the restaurants, moving up, getting into management, got into operations, doing everything there, helping them open up a ghost kitchen, another location. And at that point in time, I finally meet a guy. We're in the locker room at Victory, and he's like, "Hey, I seen you in this restaurant over here," and I'm like. So I start talking to this dude, finding out, like, who is this guy, man,
Yeah.
So turns out he's good dude, mid-30s, multiple business owner. I'm like, okay, I can talk to this guy. This is all right. Because I'm very cautious of who I surround myself with. I have no social life at all. I'm literally just running that super regimented routine.
Yeah.
And so finally decided to talk to a guy. We start becoming friends a little bit, and he tells me, there's guys that are, because I came out with the mentality of wanting to give back. I was like, you know what, if I can go and reach some kids, then it's all worth it. Share my story with them or whatever. If I can help give back, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
And so, and so he was like, he told me that there's guys on social media that are helping other guys, that are coaching other guys. And guys that have, similar to myself, guys that have been in trouble and now they live a different life, guys that are very disciplined and routine, et cetera, et cetera. Never been on social media before. I'd been on Facebook, that's it. Was never on Instagram or nothing like that. Okay. And so got on, checked it out, and just was like, you know what, I can do that, man. And so I just started just posting stuff on social media, started just all the moves, set up the LLCs, got everything set up, and just started doing really well. Within a short time, Taylor Kavanaugh reached out to me and was like, "Hey, man, I like what you're doing," and we started talking. All sorts of dudes, I guess, just like it kind of resonated with a lot of guys that. In that network, guys that have served and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cody Alford reached out to me. Marsoc, Cody Alford.
Yeah, he actually agreed to be on the podcast. I'm sure trying to get him on.
Okay, yeah. So he reached out to me. I started talking. Became friends with Cody. Me and him are pretty good friends. Me and him are good friends to this day. And just all sorts of dudes reaching out. I'm like blown away. I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like I watch these dudes on YouTube, man, and here they are sending me messages. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And
everyone's resonating with your message and your authenticity with which you deliver it. So,
thanks, bro.
It's so powerful, bro. How does it feel to you when you're getting, hit up by like Taylor Kavanaugh, Cody Alford, I'm sure many others, and you're probably like, what the fuck? They're hitting me up?
Blows my mind, dude.
Yeah.
Blows my mind. And they all say the same thing, though. They're like, dude, I either just didn't get caught or I jumped into the military so I could do everything legally.
Yeah, exactly.
So
listen, any good soldier or cop has got the fucking wild side, man. They've probably been straddling that line their whole life. You have to be a wild motherfucker, to be honest with you.
100%, man. And when I was younger, I was in the Boy Scouts. I got my Eagle Scout. I graduated and should have gone and served, but my addiction took over and took me on this whole other trajectory. But it, so just started networking. Meeting a bunch of guys. Got hooked up with a guy. So Cody Alford is partnered up with Core Medical Group. Core Medical Group they're one of the biggest providers for like HRT, TRT for military, and also they do a lot of stuff for law enforcement officers, all of that. So they're really big in giving back. Sydney Gordon, the owner, was reached out. So I started talking to Sydney. Cody, somehow I ended up talking to Sydney, ended up going out to an event that Sydney's putting on. He's like, hey, come on out, man. So I go out there and just start meeting all these people, man. I just, share my testimony. So met a bunch of guys, man, like Jason Redman, SEAL team guy. We ended up becoming friends.
So funny, bro. He's coming on the podcast. We're trying to come up with a date. He's actually going to fly out here to Florida. I volunteered at Big Dog Ranch and Rescue over here in Loxahatchee. It's the biggest cage-free, no-kill facility. But they have a PTSD program, so they take shelter dogs, train them up to become PTSD certified, and then give them to vets and first responders free of charge. So, that's awesome. So Jason's going to be out on the property. Bro, this is so funny. Like, it's a small, as big as it is, like, guys that are involved in this is very, very small. And, it's amazing, like, the people I met, like yourself, Jason Redman, Taylor Kavanaugh, like, the caliber of men that have been introduced to my life, I don't want to speak for you, but let me know if you feel the same, has been blowing me away. It's guys who are putting down a ladder for other men and women, and all they want to do is help. Like, it's so noble and refreshing to see. Yeah. There's no agendas. They just want to help. And I'm not saying they don't make money. If it's somewhat of a business, there's nothing wrong with making money. It's just an energy exchange anyway. But it is so noble what you and, all these guys, frankly, are doing. I love seeing it.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, it's such an honor, man. It's huge. So a lot of these dudes, man, a lot of guys that works in special operations, GBs, like all sorts of, different team guys that I've developed relationships with. I've started, working towards my expungement. And so, I've got now a stack of a good amount of guys that have written me character recommendation letters. A lot of the guys that I've mentioned have written these for me. A lot of guys that work for 3-letter agencies. It's just like blows my mind, man, that these guys, they just see me for the person who I am, and they don't judge me for my past, and they see what I'm doing. And so it's like these guys have put their names on paper, and these guys are all highly decorated individuals, like, and in high positions in what they do. Super humbling, man. It's just like crazy.
It's awesome. You know why, bro? Because a lot of these guys have been through stuff on the back end where maybe they held rigid views prior. Like me, for instance, man, I had an opioid addiction. I had to go to rehab in 2012, and I've never done another drug in my life. I smoked weed in high school, and it frankly changed my thought about drug addicts after that. I became a lot more empathetic, and these guys are all, if they're not going through stuff, they're seeing their close buddies going through it, and they're realizing that they're obviously great men. They're just going through hard times, man, and they're reaching for these substances to dull the pain, because who the fuck wants to experience pain?
Absolutely.
If you don't have to.
Yeah, we're all the same, man. Buddy was a guy, so doing my thing on social media, and somebody comments, says a couple things, and I look at their profile picture, and there's guys in uniform, and I'm like, hey, man, thanks for the support, dude, and appreciate what you're doing out there. I was like, if I can ever be of service, if I can ever help out, please let me know. And he kind of tells me later on, he thought about it, that's kind of weird, man. I don't know what this guy could do. But we started talking back and forth, and then a couple months later, he's like, hey, you know what? He works, he's in LEO guy out here, but he's also part of a department that is focusing on mental health, because, last year was the highest rate of suicides for officers, a lot of stuff. And so he was like, I'm going to be, there's a a center where there's guys who have gotten in trouble, first responders that have gotten caught drinking on the job or whatever, and they got to go to this program. He's like, would you be interested in going there and speaking to these guys? Yeah, absolutely, man, 100%. So I went there and spoke. It ended up being a bunch of LEO guys. And, at first they kind of heard, like, oh, this guy's locked up. What's this guy going to tell me? And I just shared my story, man. It really resonated with a lot of these dudes. A lot of these guys said it really helped them cope with what's going on and give them a, better understanding and a different perspective. And, yeah, it was a super big honor, man. And then the officer that I did that for, yeah, he ended up retiring recently and invited me to the retirement party. Great honor. And then he asked if I'd do the invocation prayer at his ceremony, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And because I'm big, I put my faith out there, man. Everybody knows, I don't. And so we get there to the party, and he's like, hey, man, he's like, I don't think these people know how we know each other. He's like, do you want to kind of speak on everything? I'm like, man. So now here I am speaking at this officer's retirement party, man. It's
$5,000. I need the check by the end of the night, please.
So it just, just some full circle moments, man. The program I have today, I've worked with a lot of, veterans or first responders. So I've even had the honor and the pleasure of having a couple of guys that are with the LA County Sheriff's Department get on my program and work with them. So guys that used to have me in their corrections, are now on the program, so full circle, man.
You know what, man? People see that it's one thing if you're violent, you're out there killing people, doing robberies, stuff like that. But it's another if you formed an addiction and you were just doing what you had to do to feed that addiction, because when you kind of take off that mask of perfection and you realize that, number one, you're not, and neither is anyone else, and you start looking around and you realize that, people can make mistakes. We all do, myself included. I don't want to say I had this arrogant attitude, but definitely became more empathetic the older I get to, and psychedelics have definitely helped with that greatly. But we all realize that people make mistakes. Some of them are greater than others and will cause you to have to go to prison like yourself. But what's in a man's heart? Like, is he truly a good man who's made some mistakes, or is he a piece of shit? And obviously, the answer to yours is the former, not the latter. And most people, 99% of people, are going to give you grace about the past and not ever sweat you about it again. Realize you just made a mistake, but you've done more than enough to to make up for it and to do what you're doing now in terms of you're helping other people change their lives. To me, man, there's nothing more powerful. Like, tell me how you feel when you get a text from someone whose life you changed. It's the most powerful feeling in the world.
Bro, I get like a front row seat to it, man. I don't just get a text. I get like I'm with these dudes on their journey. So it's like when they come in, like, guys come to me, bro. I've had dudes call me on mental breakdowns, dude, and I'm like, I got to talk them through. Hey, dude,
just serious stuff.
Oh yeah, dude. One guy, for example, called me and he was like, makes great money. High paid trade job, makes over over $200K a year. No money in the bank account because he's got a bad cocaine and alcohol problem. Calls me, he's like, man, I'm getting on this plane. He's like, I had to get high. I'm drunk. He's like, but I need help, man. He's like, and he just was telling me, he was just in a very dark place. So literally walked him through it. I'm like, bro, okay, get on the plane. Don't drink on the plane. When you get off, get to your hotel room. Get to the hotel room, call me. And so walked him through everything. He calls me when he gets to the hotel room. Talk to this dude. He ends up charging a credit card, a couple grand to get on the program. And he's on the team. Next day, he just sobers up, gets in the gym, and just starts chopping away at it, man. Just start getting him a good, solid routine. And I got pictures of him, man. He just went from having this big old beer belly to within 4 months, he already had a killer transformation. Belly's gone, upper body's just, the dude's jacked. Nice. And 4 months clean. The next thing you know, he had 8 months clean. Dude, today's got probably almost a year and a half clean. Just stacked his bank account. Bought a boat. Just whole life is different, and just having a front row seat on it all, seeing these guys physically change, having him, he was in trouble, and having him go through probation, help complete probation. And it's just walking them through that. Hey, do this, do that, just trust the process. and just witnessing it all, bro. I mean, I don't think there's, like you said, there's nothing more rewarding than that, man. It's like, sometimes I feel like I get more out of it than they do sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just, I've gone through a lot of it myself too, so it's like, knowing where I was at when they were going through these certain things, I'm like, come on, man, like, let's, so it's cool, man.
It's weird. I mean, it's almost like the timeline. You're watching the timeline, you probably think to yourself, and he was doing that, I was doing it at the same time, and just kind of paralleling each other. It really is incredible.
Same thoughts, they tell me the thoughts are like, yeah, I know those thoughts, like, yeah. So it's cool, man. Today it's just, and I'm just super blessed, man, because guys get in and guys reach out to me, and and the guys, some guys want it, some guys think they want it, they either sink or swim, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some guys don't do anything with it, and that's why they're still stuck in the same situation. But guys that jump in, they get involved, they're hitting their nutrition, they're hitting their workouts, they're making our calls. I got like video messaging apps where everybody's on a group video message thing. Everybody's chiming in, being held accountable. Some dude doesn't show up for a day or two, goes dark. Guys are checking on him. Hey, what's up, dude? You all right? What's going on? Da-da-da-da. So just the whole community aspect is so powerful too. And then, you're just getting accountability, man. I'm just calling dudes on their stuff all day long. And as men, we need accountability.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, so
100%.
100%, man. And
Community. It's awesome. Building this community where these guys have a brother next to him, in front of him, and back of him, to his right, to his left. Like, you need that community, especially, you spoke on it before briefly, guys who are leaving these, military or law enforcement professions, or first responder, whatever the case may be, where you had a community, so to speak. Now it's gone. That identity question is huge, brother. Like, I didn't give it too much credence. I thought I was just kind of ease into retirement. It wasn't planned. It happened definitely quicker than I thought it was going to. But you left questioning, like, who am I? Like, what am I? What am I going to do? What am I going to be? As much as you try not to be that thing for those 30 years, it just naturally happens. Like, you're Mike the cop, and I always try to have outside interest to begin with, but once that was taken, it's a huge transition, and most men are not prepared for it. Number one, they don't even know it's coming, bro. It's like a fucking train that's coming head on, and you have no idea it's heading your way. I deal with it all the time, talk to guys all the time, and it's tough, man. Some guys don't have a lot of success with it. Some guys struggle with it. A lot of guys get stuck in the bottle, man, and it's just sad. But I just man, it's good though, man. It's something watching these guys come alive, man. It just really, I don't think there's, it's funny. I started doing what I'm doing, just with the idea, like I said, of wanting to give back. But it's like, once I've started doing it, like, I realized, like, this is my purpose in life. Like, I realized that, God had me go through everything I went through so I could have this testimony and this experience that I can share and, like, relate with other guys with. And so nothing's more fulfilling than, like, if you're, doing your purpose. If you're working your purpose, man, everything else follows. Like, purpose has got to be first, man. If purpose isn't first, if you've got money as your purpose, like, it's not going to, it might work, but you're not going to be happy. Things are going to be messed up. But if you get purpose first and you're crushing on that thing, that's like what all these guys are doing. Guys that are, all these guys that have no problem reaching their hand out and helping dudes up, that's because they're all doing their purpose, man. And everything else then follows at that point in time. Yeah, 100%. I'm going to ask you about the book in a second, but
you
ever have imposter syndrome? Ever hit you? Like, self-doubt.
All the time, bro.
Yeah.
I'm, like, my wife, I'm like places all the time, and I'm like around these people that are, it's crazy, man. Like, Blake Cook. I don't know if you know who Blake Cook is. He's a LEO guy out of North Carolina.
Was he on Sean Ryan's show?
He was on Sean Ryan's show.
In fact, I interviewed a girl named Heather Perkins. That's a short for North Carolina Bureau of Crime. I forgot what it's called. They had a state agency, and she is a psychologist, I think, for them, and she deals with PTSD trauma issues. She's a friend of his. But I saw that podcast as well.
Great dude. It's nice. So, like, he's a friend of mine. Tyler Gray's a friend of mine who's also on Sean Ryan's show.
Yep.
Eddie Penny. We didn't even get a chance to talk about Eddie Penny. You know, he's a friend of mine, another great dude. Cody Alford. I mean, there's like all these dudes that are, you know, and so I seen Jocko the other day, like at a book signing event. Hadn't seen him since I started the business. So I seen him. I was like, hey, bro, like, by the way, man, like, I started a business. I'm helping other dudes out. You know, helping them with discipline, structure, routine. I was like, and I was like, he was like, really? And he was like, hey, he's like, by the way, I've been telling that story, you know, to people about like you reading my stuff to guys in prison. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, badass. And so I was like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm partnered with you too. By the way, I'm on Jocko Fuel. I'm part of your, you know. And he was like, really? I was like, yeah. And I told him, I was like, yeah, I was just on your boy JP Danil's podcast, who's another good dude as well. And he was like, man, he's like, that's something. He's like, you know what? He's like, you should write your book. He's like, if you write your book, I know a publisher. He's like, I know a publishing company, because he has a publishing company now. And I'm like, all right, I'll write it, bro. You publish it. So now I got a lot of motivation to write my book, man.
Oh, yeah.
And so just with all these guys that are really well-known guys that I look up to and admire for all the things that they've done in life, and the fact that, like, you know, last night I'm at jiu-jitsu and I walk in there, I see Jocko, we just, hey, say what's up, hey, what's up, dude, what's up, bro, you know, cool.
Yep.
And, you know, I go right to my jiu-jitsu class. It's like, bro, like, that's insane. Like, I'm just some regular dude, and the fact that, like, I have this network of people, so it's hard not to have imposter syndrome sometimes, like, but my wife tells me all the time, like, no, like, look, like, you've done the work, like, you got it, you know. So I struggle with it, man, you know, because...
Yeah, it's tough sometimes, man. And it's not even like...
Yeah.
I hate saying imposter because I'm not trying to be anyone other than my authentic self, telling my story in the hopes that it helps someone. But yeah, sometimes I'm like, who the fuck are you? Like, what business do you think you have writing a book? I just finished my manuscript, getting on the stage to speak to people, host a podcast. But, you know, it was funny. My publisher's like, you're Mike Morgan. That's who the fuck you are. She's like, and you went through everything you went through for a reason. So you can help these men and women. I'm like, yeah, right. You're right, Lil. Fucking Mike Morgan.
Yeah, absolutely. Imposter is just the name, but it's the things that go with it. You know what I mean? The you know, the sense of like value or whatever you want to call it. That's just the label they put on it. You know, which is the same thing. You know, I struggle with a lot of the time too. Like, I don't like a lot of the labels that they have for certain things these days. You know, it's just, but yeah, right there with you, man. But
it's funny. I'm sorry, 1 second, but you mentioned speaking of God and him saying that he put you through everything for a reason. I had that exact conversation in an ayahuasca journey one time. The universe is like, I put you through everything I put you through, you know, the most painful stuff, just so you can walk in a room and have credibility with these men and women when you speak to them. Like, they know you're for real. And I was like, cool. I literally was like, I'm a vessel, like, do with me whatever you want to do. And, you know, it sounds like you have like a similar mindset and experience.
100%, brother. 100%. You know, there's no way you can say that everything that's happened in my life to where I'm at today is by chance or by coincidence.
Yeah, I say no coincidences.
No, bro. Like,
by design.
You know, it's me and a few we call it divine intervention is what we believe. You know, it's so it's man, it's funny. It's you know, it's there. You just gotta, like, Jesus used to say, "Those who have ears, let them hear." Man, it's like you just really gotta be. For me, for myself, like, it's really like it's a relationship is what I'm like. I'm not big on ritualistic things and all that other nonsense. Like, I think like the church and organized religion has been the biggest downfall to people and faith. There's been because people haven't been hurt by God. They've been hurt by people that represent the church or people that are, so they've been hurt by other people, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so I'm not a fan of like the Great American Church Association or whatever you want to call it, you know, corporation. But it is about a relationship, you know? And so it's like, for me and myself, I know I need to tend that relationship, and it's daily. You know what I mean? And so it's like I go, and it's like a lot of people have done through. You know, ancient people in the past, they'll go off by themselves, usually when it's dark out, early in the morning, and they'll go and they'll meditate or they'll, you know, whatever. And so Jesus used to do that too. He'd go off early in the morning and go talk to his Father and work on his relationship. And so that's really where I've had the most connections. It's like every morning I get up, I hit my Bible. I'm building that time, and it's like that frequency really gets connected. And when that frequency is dialed in, bro, and I'm in good shape physically, mentally, like when I'm firing all cylinders, I'm vibrating at a very high frequency, man. And like we're balls of energy. People feel it. Like when you go into a room, people are gonna see this person like, oh, who's this dude? Like this guy means business. He's in shape. And he's got this positive energy about him. Like, it resonates, man. And I think that's what I help do with these guys, is get these guys just, I call it in proper alignment, physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically. And when that happens, bro, it's a force to be reckoned with, man. It's powerful, and everybody around you wants to level up. Their spouses, their wives want to take better care of themselves. They're getting after it. Then their kids are getting in better shape. It's like, because that's what it is, man. The sons, they're going to emulate the father, and the daughters, they're going to look for that in the dude that they're going after. And so it's like, it's the biggest powerhouse move that men can make, in life. So that's where it's at, brother.
Oh yeah, it's the truth, 100%. And so most of your clients, they're coming to you for nutrition, or most guys, would you say more of a mindset program?
It's all over the board, man. It's a little bit of everything. Some guys know that they just they need the accountability. Some guys know that they need the community, because isolation isn't good. It's going to lead them down to making the bad choices. Major issue, 90% of people don't know proper nutrition or how it affects their body. So everybody always has to learn the nutrition part. Some guys have workout experience, some guys don't. So I mean, I got guys that are, have been tier 1 operators, so they know how to work out, like they know all their stuff, but so everybody falls in at a different place.
Right.
And so there's no necessary like requirement to get in. It's like I work with all dudes from all walks of life, man. Just regular blue collar guys to, corporate CEOs. So yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, 'cause we can all level up, man. We can all do better. You know what I mean? In some areas of life. So it's like some guys just see it and they just want to be a part of it, man. And it's just an honor, man. It's a real privilege.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, to me, it's like God put you in this position. There was no other way that it happened. You can't tell me that it was just per chance you ended up where you are right now. And I don't mean on this podcast. I mean in general, what you're doing in life. Like there's no way.
There's so many things, man. My wonderful wife, bro, is like, all my relationships were toxic. My life previous, just toxic. And so I was like, if I'm gonna have a relationship, I was like, I was praying to God every day when I was out, and I was, in my routine and going home, and like I would read and I would pray at night, like, God, I'm ready for my wife, man. What's up? And but I knew I was like, she's got to have, her faith has got to be number one to her, man, because it's like, my faith is number one to me, and everything else dictates from there. And so, we met and we dated for 6 weeks, and I proposed, man. Like that,
really?
I was like,
wow.
Yeah, I dated 6 weeks and proposed. I just knew it. I was like, man, because I told her on the second date about my past, because I'm not going to hide it. I didn't tell her on the first date because it just kind of was like a lot to kind of drop on the first date. But
yep.
Second date I did, and she was like, okay. I was like, okay.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah, that's amazing, man.
Yeah, it's just super strong young lady. And so 6 weeks, proposed, and then, she had this great idea. Like, she was like, maybe we can go skydiving and get married. And I'm like, yeah, okay, babe. And she's like, yeah, no, maybe we can like do it in the plane or like say it on the ground. And I'm like, okay, you're serious. She's like, yeah, okay. So we went and jumped, man. And
nice.
Yeah, bro. Never jumped before. She never jumped before. And I was like, not about to act like a weenie and be like, no, babe, I'm not going to go. It's like, you got to put your big boy pants on and just
exactly.
step up to the plate. So it was
that
badass.
one I've never heard.
No, I hadn't either, man.
How about the company? Those guys ever have a vow, a marriage ceremony in the plane?
They were like, I don't think we can do it in the plane because they're very small. You know what I mean? It's like doors open. There's just a couple of us there, and
yep.
So, but they were like, yeah, you guys can do it on the ground. This is kind of new, but it sounds kind of cool. So, yeah, we just jumped, man. Jumped with my boots on, my cowboy boots on, landed, threw my hat on, and just one of the best days of my life, man. And so our relationship is healthy. We have a healthy relationship. Like it's so beautiful, man. It's like so different, It's like the big boxes lined up. Like her faith is number one. It's like also the major, like our health is important. Like working out is important, and like our views on children are the same. And so it's like all the big boxes lined up. So it's like whenever there's small things that come into play, it's like, okay, we can figure that out.
Yeah.
So it's just really being like properly aligned, I think the biggest decision we make in life is who we choose to serve, and then the second biggest decision is who we decide to serve with.
Yeah.
Is just everything. So, I just put that out there for people listening. If you're, it's such a big decision, man. Because as you know, like that relationship can make or break everything. Guys, it can take them out, man.
Yep.
Oh, 100%, man. And
Absolutely.
so just with the relationship that I got, what I'm doing today, man, you can't tell me God's not involved, bro. It's like I did everything I could to sabotage this thing.
Exactly.
And
Yeah, and he's still doing well. So he's like, you know what? Can't break this guy. It's almost like buds. Can't break this dude. So let me ask you a question now. Speaking about relationships, guys come to you, you counseling them. They're in toxic relationship, whether it be romantic or otherwise. In fact, actually, let me change it a little bit. It's not romantic, because it's a little bit easier to answer. Friendships and family relationships that are toxic, that in your heart these guys need to get out of. What do you tell them as far as your thoughts on what they need to do?
Yeah, so it kind of, I just revert it really back to what we're doing, and it's like we have to make ourselves a priority. A lot of us, a lot of guys that are in situations like that are good dudes, and they're good dudes because they do for others before themselves, and they're not making themselves a priority.
Yep.
And so it's a big thing that I talk about is like making yourself a priority. Like you have to invest in yourself. But also making yourself a priority is a very selfless act. And it sounds way off at first, but then people finally grasp it. It's like, okay, you start setting some healthy boundaries with people, family, friends, you know what I mean? You set these boundaries, and then you're kind of on a path, like a lone wolf path for a little while. Mm-hmm. But that's a good thing about like getting in the community. What I've built is like you're not exactly by yourself. You have other guys that are on that path with you. And so you start making yourself a little bit of a priority. You start getting in good shape. Like you start, it ripple effects into every area of your life. And so then guys are cranking, like I was talking about before. They start just getting going. And then at that point in time, you're able to do more. You're able to produce more. You're actually able to take care of family. You're actually able to do all these other things because you're just running. You're running on all cylinders, man.
You're healthy.
Yeah, and so it's making guys making themselves a priority. Boundaries are so important, like you said, especially with just not even intimate relationships, just family members, friends. A lot of guys, they got to cut things off, man. It's people, places, and things. Those three things, man, will dictate your outcome. I say it all the time in my content, man. Like make good choices. Make good choices. Watch the people you're with, the places you go, and the things you're doing. If you're paying attention to those things, you'll be able to steer in the right direction, man.
Yeah, it's great advice, huge. And listen, sometimes it's not going to be easy, especially with family or relationships.
Oh.
Cutting someone off, man.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it's not. And so it's a simple process, but it's not easy.
Yeah,
like it's very simple, but it's a challenge, and it's hard, and it's a daily battle. There's no days off, bro. Every day's a Monday, bro. You don't get time off. Yep. And so that's why it's just, again, like falling into that routine and structure is so important for us as men, because if we don't have it, or if you start letting it slip, next thing you know, you wake up one day and it's all gone, and you've been on the bottle for a while, and you got this big old belly, and you're mentally in a dark place, and it's like, what happened?
Yeah, it happens quick, is right. And
Super
I'll tell you,
quick.
some of these relationships that need to be severed are parental, and that is hard to do. But you hear some of these stories that these guys and girls are telling, and you're like, it's so obvious what they need to do in terms of excising this person out of their life. But again, it's tough to cut a father or a mother out of your life, even though it needs doing.
Yeah, I relate. My relationship with my mother can be kind of challenging at times. She's, relationship that she's been in, after my father, and just dealing with everything she's dealt with, it can be challenging at times. So I really have to, keep like a little arm's distance at times. So, and I don't think there's anything, that's probably one of the things that hurts the most is with a parental figure, with a parent, and there be something wrong, and you can't, we can only control ourselves, man.
Yeah.
We can't make them do anything. And so that's really tough. So I relate to that, and yeah, it's a challenge. But like, again, you got to make yourself a priority, because if you don't, you're going to put yourself in a bad place.
Absolutely. I wish you the best on that. And
thank you, brother.
I'll tell you one thing that pops up all the time, and I did it myself when I was going through it. You may have done the same thing. Everyone thinks they're alone, brother. When in fact, unfortunately, there are millions who are going through, if it's not the same thing, virtually the same thing. Like, how do you tell people that, I don't even want to say to reach out, like, just to get it in your mind that you are not the only one experiencing this. Look to your left, look to your right. You actually start talking about it out loud. Hands are going to go up, and guys and girls are going to be like, yeah, I'm feeling the same exact thing, man.
Absolutely. And it's guys, that's what they think. And I for the fortunate ones that take a risk and bet on themselves and get into the program, once they get in there, man, and they start meeting all the dudes that are in the community all the time, they're just like, man, well, I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. It's like, and it's beautiful, man, seeing it just change these guys' lives, man, from all different areas, man, all different avenues. Guys that are going through divorces, guys that are going through, relationship stuff, guys that are changing careers, or careers are ending, all the different just major things that can really destroy a person. Seeing them come in and seeing these guys come back to life, seeing these dudes get in shape, it's like, bro, it's powerful, man. It's super powerful. Yep.
Let me ask you this too. There's another fallacy. Everyone thinks, a lot of people think that everyone else has it figured out, when in fact, people are actors. They let you see what they want you to see. Social media is all the good moments. You're never going to see the bad shit that happens. Me and Taylor were talking about this one night, and he's like, Mike, he goes, I specifically spoke to I'm talking about 2 Team 6 guys. Thought their careers were stellar. They were kicking the shit out of life in their post-career, and all of a sudden imploded on both of them. And he's like, I realized right then and there, man, no one's got it figured out. And, I echo those sentiments. What are your thoughts on that? Because people are, we have comparatitis, man. We're always looking at what this guy or girl did, and, I haven't done this yet. Meanwhile, you find out they're the most miserable person on the face of the earth, and, everything that they're putting out, it looks beautiful, but it's the furthest thing from the truth.
Yeah, comparison is the thief of all joy, man. I really, don't, I think there's kind of 2 mindsets to have. It's like, when it comes down to it, there's either like an abundance mindset or a scarcity mindset. And so I really feel like, the scarcity mindset can kind of get into a lot of the negativity stuff. So I really try to be of an abundance mindset, and I really, am happy for people. Like when I see guys doing stuff, I'm happy for them. I don't have it all figured out either. I mean, it's a daily battle. It's, I've gone all in on this business I've started myself, and it's a scrap, bro. It's a fight. It's a daily fight.
Yeah.
And so, I'll be the first to say that I don't have it figured out. Like I put out like challenges that I go through all the time on my content. Like I don't care, because it's more relatable, and I think that's what's been a big thing that's been beneficial for me, or has been, is because I'm just tell it like it is, man. Like I don't really care. Like people that think like, they're on social media and they show only the good stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's not real, man. You know. So, I hear you, and I'm with you 100%. And if anybody tells you they have it figured out, they're full of it, man.
You got that right.
Yeah.
No one close. I don't care
what
you have, how rich you are. Anything. No way.
All the way up. Yeah, all the way up. All the people that are have done the things that I want to do, they'll say they don't have it figured out.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that are willing to reach their hand down. And if you're getting anything that's negative, it's always coming from somebody that's down below.
Oh yeah. People only punch up, man. They're not punching down.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
100%. All right, brother. It's been fantastic speaking to you.
Yeah, man.
Congratulations on everything you've done. The transformation is incredible.
Thanks, brother.
And what you're doing now is incredible. I hope you stop every now and then and just pat yourself on the shoulder because what you're doing, changing people's lives, is, name me a more noble purpose or pursuit in life than helping others change their lives. I'd be hard pressed to think of one, to be honest with you. But let yourself enjoy it every now and then, because I know you're going 100 miles an hour every day. Just, realize what an impact you make on people's lives, brother. It is no joke.
Thanks. I'm grateful to do what I do. It is hard for me sometimes to really kind of just like stop and pat myself on the back, because I am just ripping and running.
Yep.
So it's a challenge. It's actually one of the things that I struggle with. I'll be the first to. The thing I struggle with is to, So, but I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the acknowledgement, or I appreciate the words. It means a lot, brother. It's I know you've been. I know with your career and everything you've been through. It's like a lot of guys don't change, man. And but change is possible, man. And I think that's just kind of the message that I'd like to put out there, is that it doesn't matter like where you're at. It really doesn't. Anybody at any time can change.
Yep.
You just got to take, like we spoke originally, take accountability, man. Take responsibility, and then take action. Biggest thing is you got to take action. People always are waiting. They want to wait. Nah, take action, man.
Exactly. Hey, we're the author of our own story. No one else is writing it. So, pick up that pen, and if you want to change it, do it. So, all right, Anthony, it's been fantastic speaking to you, brother. Just to let people know if they want to get in touch with you, how to do so. All the links will be in the bio as well.
Cool. Yeah, brother. Yeah, they can just reach out to me on Instagram. It's pretty simple. I have a Facebook as well. I think it's Anthony Autrey Fit. So if you throw my name in there, or just Instagram, it's Unchained_fit. You can get me from there. I got links in my bio to my YouTube. I got a stand store with online products that you can just purchase. You can set up calls with me, all sorts of different stuff. You can see the different programs I offer and all that.
Awesome. All right, brother. I want to thank you once again. It was an honor having you on. Guys, if you like what you saw, please hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.
Order, shot fired, officer down, shot fired, officer down. Got a city officer down, shot fired.
223, be advised, we have a visual on enemy paratroopers in grid Papa uniforms.
Welcome to the Resilient Warrior Nation, a podcast dedicated to inspiring hope and healing for first responders, military veterans, and anyone facing PTSD and trauma